Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome to the video. I hope your day is going great. Mine is, and we have an interesting video for you guys today. I'm going to be reacting to one of my very first Overwatch League videos. It is titled, Who Will Win the Overwatch League? It was basically a pre-Overwatch League power rankings video. I discussed every single team and ranked them. We're going to be looking at my picks back then, seeing how well I did, and not just talking about the power rankings though. We're going to talk about the video, how well made is it? Because honestly, I'm not gonna lie here, this was one of my first videos, as I said, and I didn't do a very good job, so let's just go ahead and hop into it. Real quick, before we go any further, guys, I am live on YouTube right now. After you watch this video, come hang out, ask me about it, ask me anything. I'm gonna be playing Realm Royale, link is down below, and I'll see you guys there. Ooh, win the Overwatch League. Ooh, the old intro, boys. So this was a very controversial intro. People loved it, people hated it, some thought it was okay, some thought it was super cringy. We eventually had a vote about it, and it was voted off, so we stopped doing the intro. I liked it, though. I thought it was pretty cool.
I posted a power rankings thread the other day saying that if I got enough interest, I would do a power rankings.
I like the effort, Michael, putting the Reddit post there.
And I decided
but come on, no eye contact. Got eye contact with the viewers, Michael.
Before we get into it, though,
ooh, the pause.
I just want to say that these are based off of what I saw over the preseason and what I see each team's long-term success being. I think that this preseason has proved anything.
Damn, Acne was looking good back then, though. It was clearing up, boys. I didn't have very many. A little bit of scarring, but
number one, we have
nothing
Seoul
bad.
Dynasty.
It's looking bad now.
Seoul Dynasty is made up of ex-Lunatic High.
Number one, Seoul Dynasty. Okay, I mean that's a fair pick.
Back Apex seasons 2 and 3. They came into the preseason ranked very high for a reason. With wins over Shanghai Dragons, Houston Outlaws, and New York Excelsior. A total map score of 9-2, the highest win percentage of any team during the preseason. Starting off day one with a clean performance against Shanghai, they were able to take every single map with a 4-0 victory. And the second day, they had an extremely close match with Houston Outlaws. 3 of the 4 maps could have easily gone to either team. But when it came down to it, though, the Korean powerhouse proved they are even better in the clutch. The main reason I put them at number 1 is because they had one of the best performances, and the roster from top to bottom has proven talent. It's hard to pick standout players on a roster with Ryohong, Miro, Fleta, Bunny, Weekend, Toby, and the list just keeps on going. The entire roster is stacked. They are a clear contender for the championship.
Yo, what am I doing, dude?
Number 2.
Okay. Let's first talk about Seoul Dynasty here. Obviously, Seoul Dynasty going into the Overwatch League was the most feared. They were the previous best Korean team ever, best Overwatch team ever. There's no arguing about that. Maybe Seaosn was up there, but Lunatic High, they had the back-to-back championships. And Apex Season 4 for them was kind of like, we're not really into this. We're more focused on getting ready for the Overwatch League. So everybody kind of overlooked them getting, I guess, tossed around by Seaosn and even some other teams like MVP Ozone in Season 4 of Apex. So I'd say it's definitely fair for anybody to say that Seoul Dynasty going into Season 1 would have been the best. Obviously, I was completely wrong because they just ended up choking hard as hell. Yeah, pretty much. And as for my video, I mean, like, the concepts there, it's well written. Back then I was doing scripts. Now I don't do scripts. I haven't done scripts for like the past 5 months, since like maybe January. I just go off the fly, talk whatever comes to my head, and I say it. Obviously the lack of eye contact is pretty awkward. And as I said though, the acne's looking good here, not so bad. That's why we're on a diet and we're working out every day. Gotta get rid of this acne. And let's play it back in.
We have London Spitfire.
Okay.
Now, some of you might be questioning
number 2
this
here
pick after the loss to LA Gladiators, but let me remind you that it was an extremely close match, and the LA Gladiators are no slouch of an opponent. It is clear that the Seaosn part of the roster completely underperformed and left a lot of people speechless. It's hard to comprehend how such a godlike team that took out Kongdu Panthera 4-0, a Lunatic High 3-0, not once but twice, and defeated Runaway 4-3, and then 4-0, doesn't come in and completely dominate every single team, including the newly formed LA Gladiators. If we take a look back at Seaosn's run, yes, it was extremely dominant and arguably one of the greatest in Overwatch history, but it was also very short and we only seen them in that meta. Seaosn are a young roster, and like many strong teams in their past, their performance dropped in a meta shift. With more practice and time, they should be able to become that dominant team that they once were. I expect them to be much improved coming regular season. Now moving on to the other half.
Okay, I mean, so this was pretty correct for the first 2 stages. Then stage 3 happened, and, you know, we saw more meta shifts, and we just saw London Spitfire struggle. Birdring, he hit a wrist injury. I mean, I'd say it was a good pick going into the league. Obviously, London Spitfire still could end up being the 2nd overall team, or even the best overall. So, this one's kind of still up in the air. I'd say it was an average pick.
For the roster, which is made up of Kondu Panthera. This roster finished the week with a clean 5-0 map score, showing that they are extremely flexible and innovative, especially when it comes to the 2CP play. The London Spitfire's management also made a mistake sending.
I thought I was done with the London Spitfire
against LA Gladiators. The Kongdu roster
Dude,
was supposed to play the
Michael, where's the enthusiasm? Dude, Jesus. What the hell is wrong with me? The thing was, I was trying too hard, guys. I was trying too hard to be so professional. I wanted to be seen as a guy who knew what he was talking about, smart. But, you know, that's not the way to do it. You need enthusiasm. You need to be electric.
Not GC Busan. This definitely had an impact on the result as well.
Still, like,
but that also is still a mistake on London's part. In the end, Kongdu looked amazing, and I think London has a huge advantage having 2 world-class teams to do in-house practice with. Despite the lackluster performance from GC Busan, I'm sure they will return back to form, and London will be one of the strongest teams in the entire
Look at the camera, please.
At number 3, we have...
Oh, at least when you finish the damn sentence, look at the camera, dude. You're such an idiot. Look at you. Idiot.
Dallas Fuel. Just like most
I had a little bit there.
3rd, 4th, and 5th spots were extremely hard to rank. I said in my prediction video that Dallas Fuel and Houston Outlaws was going to be one of the most exciting and closest games of the entire preseason. And gee golly, was I right. This match was an absolute nail-biter. And gee golly, was I right.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
This match was an absolute nail-biter.
I'm so sorry.
Both teams proving that they were dominant over the other in different maps, leading to that epic Game 5 on Lijiang, where the first 2 rounds went 99-99, leaving both teams with 1 round. The 3rd point is where Dallas Fuel's experience shined through, though. They closed it out 100-38. Although there were some decently close maps in their 2nd match with Florida Mayhem, Dallas still proved to be a dominant team. Running a lot of experimental comps in this match, I think it's safe to say Dallas was using this match to learn new things. Formerly playing under Envious, this team has proven for almost 2 years that they are a staple in the Overwatch scene. With nice additions to their roster, they have nowhere to go but up. I can see this team being near the top come championship time. At number 4, we have New York Excelsior. Again, with such limited games, deciding who to put 3rd, 4th, and 5th was extremely difficult. I went with New York over Houston.
So, I guess let's talk about Dallas real quick. Obviously, so this was like a month prior. Let's look at the date. I posted this video December 11th. This was right after the preseason. Literally 4 days after. And going into the Overwatch League, I'd say a week before it in January, like the 3rd or something, I was making videos and talking about how Dallas Fuel was going to struggle, going to lose. I guess you could say my opinion in 1 month or so changed very quickly on them, and I just had this feeling that they wouldn't be able to perform. I saw this weird mashup of players that was really going to alter what they had previously, and I mean, I was kind of right. So, and talking about the Dallas Fuel now, I mean, they've really improved, and it seems like the big problem was coaching, and possibly just Effect being negative and just overall depression from the whole team. I don't want to put all of that on Effect, but he definitely was the worst offender when it came to being, you know, sad and bringing the mood down. But Dallas Fuel definitely turned their season around, and yeah, let's go ahead and move on now. And it's muted. Kappa Ross.
They will have 4th and 5th was extremely difficult. I went with New York over Houston solely because I think they will have better long-term success. New York faced off against Boston Uprising in their first game. After almost being first held on Dorado, they narrowly came out with a victory due to Pine and Sabiolbi's heroics. In what was a really close series, New York was able to come out with a 3-1 victory, only dropping one map, Helios, because of some great fair play by Dreamcasper. In their second set, they were up against the powerhouse Seoul Dynasty. They started off strong with an extremely impressive Junkertown win off the back of Pine's Widow. Unfortunately, though, for Pine and New York, as the series went on, it turned into the Fleta show. Seoul Dynasty took the last 3 maps pretty easily, even first holding them on Nubani the last map. New York had a pretty impressive performance, though, considering they have been rotating 2 of the strongest DPS players, Libro and Pine, on support because Joe...
God, Libro, dude, what the hell was I thinking? I know I had this huge problem of mispronouncing so many players' names early on in the league. Obviously, I fixed that like halfway through, but damn, Libero, Michael, it's Libero, dude. Oh, yikes.
Jonak wasn't eligible. Come the regular season, though, Jonak will be 18 and available to play. This will provide a nice boost to the star-studded roster who are
Nice boost.
looking to achieve glory. At rank number 5...
let's be honest, nobody knew Jonak was going to be as good as he was. Like, he wasn't even really on anybody's radar as going to be one of the best supports. Sure, he'd be good. We all knew he's Korean. He's on New York Excelsior, one of the better teams. But nowhere near the level of players like Jae-hong, Badosin coming into the league. You just didn't know. And obviously, you know, I put him at rank 4 here, so... I was wrong. Honestly, I'm not going to lie here. At the beginning of the season, I thought New York Excelsior was going to be the worst team out of the 3 Korean ones. And I don't know. Yeah, I was wrong. Clearly, they're not, so...
We have the Houston Outlaws. Houston might have gone 0-2, but they played 2 of the greatest teams of all time and put up a hell of a performance. Taking most people by surprise, they were inches away from defeating Dallas Fuel and Seoul Dynasty. In their first match against Dallas, it was back and forth the entire time, leaving the viewers on edge wondering what team would come away with the victory. Jake and Linkser both had great showings, proving they were comfortable on multiple roles. Seeing both these players go head-to-head with effect on Tracer was also something I did not expect. Dallas brought some wonky comps and played a weird style that we haven't seen before. This left Houston having to adapt, and they did. Unfortunately, though, at the end of the series, Dallas switched into their highest gear, taking the victory 3-2 on Lijiang. Their next match was against Seoul Dynasty, and was very similar to the last match, back and forth. Houston defeated Seoul on Lunar Colony, holding them to 1 tick on the second point. This was a stunning performance after seeing Seoul walk all over New York Excelsior, capping with 6:30 left.
Excelsior, what the hell, man?
On the second point of Lunar. This match would end in a 2-1 after a tie on Nubani, where New York Excelsior was also first held by Seoul. Like I said earlier, I could have easily put Houston Outlaws above New York Excelsior, but they haven't had the long-term success that New York has had. So we'll definitely be looking at the squad to prove they're here for the long haul. I could definitely see Houston Outlaws being one of the better teams in the league. Coming in at...
Okay, so for the Houston Outlaws, I was super high on Jake going into the Overwatch League. I'm not going to lie. I felt like he had the mentality and the leadership that would help the Houston Outlaws become one of the better teams. And I'd say for the first stage, it was pretty accurate, you know? Junkrat was very relevant at that time. Obviously, Jake, one of the best Junkrats in the league. We're calling him Jake Rat, for God's sakes, so yeah. I mean, they did good. They lived up to it for the first stage, but then after that, meta shifts came, and they just couldn't adapt. I feel like that was their biggest problem going into stage 4. Obviously, the meta was kind of tailored for them, and they did have a pretty decent showing in that stage. They weren't able to make the overall playoffs or stage 4 playoffs, but I don't know. They were pretty inconsistent overall, and I'd say this was somewhat of an accurate pick. I just think I was way too hyped up on Jake going into the Overwatch League. Sure, he was a good player, but he didn't live up to the standards I was holding him to, so.
Number 6, we have the Los Angeles Valiant.
What was I looking at?
The Los Angeles Valiant performed very well and actually took me by surprise. Although they faced a tiring San Francisco Shock in their first match, they still looked great and had some extremely clutch plays. Starting off with Junkertown, San Francisco held LA on 3rd near the end of the match.
What is this, dude? Come on, Michael. Jesus.
Struggling on defense, though, LA found themselves having to hold the last point for almost 6 minutes. A comp swap to full dive allowed them to get their feet on the ground and start a decent hold. LA ended up holding San Francisco down for 5 minutes, but in San Francisco's last attempt, they finally had a decisive team fight. LA kept stalling, though, and bought just enough time for Silk Thread to find an opening.
Yo, what the hell is that, dude?
With his Dragon Blade, where he completely wiped the entire San Francisco team. Silk Thread and Los Angeles came in clutch, with one of the best Dragon plays and holds in the entire tournament. The series would continue to deliver.
What the hell is a Dragon play, Michael? This isn't a league, dude. It's a damn Genji ult or Dragon Blade. Jesus.
With ups and downs from both San Francisco and LA. But by the time it got to the last map, LA wore San Francisco out, and they took the win on Lijiang, getting them a 3-2 victory in the series. In the second set, the Los Angeles Valiant went up against the Los Angeles Gladiators. With back-to-back first holds on Dorado and Anubis, the LA Valiant were proving to be the stronger Los Angeles team. On Ilios, though, Valiant seemed to struggle a little bit. Silk Thread looked a bit uncomfortable on the Pharah and was outclassed by Surefour. They ended up losing Ilios pretty easily 2-0 to the LA Gladiators. On the fourth and final map, Eichenwald, the Los Angeles Valiant proved to have a strong defense once again and held the Los Angeles Gladiators on the second point. The combination of Silk Thread's Genji and Soon's Tracer was too deadly for the Gladiators to handle. All the LA Valiant players seemed to be clicking on all cylinders, proving that their previous synergy really came into play. If the Los Angeles Valiant keeps improving at a steady pace, I don't see why this team wouldn't be a top playoff contender. At number 7, we have the San Francisco.
Why on earth did I even put myself in this video? Like, I didn't need to do that. That's so extra, honestly. It made it so much more awkward. This would have been just better if it was complete footage the entire time. As for the Los Angeles Valiant, we had them at number 6. I think it was a fair pick. Their overall performance in the preseason was pretty decent. There are definitely players in this video I didn't mention at the time. Kariv, Faye, Agilities, who are kind of the solid carries now. And throughout the entire season, I'd say they floated around 5th, 6th, or 7th ranked. A little bit higher near the end of Stage 3 and Stage 4, but it's a good pick. Let's go ahead and move on.
Shock. Going into preseason, a lot of people had been placing San Francisco at the bottom of their ranks. Well, they shocked the world in their first match versus Florida Mayhem with an explosive performance. With a chip on the shoulder, they proved to all of us that they can not...
Hold on. Shocked. They shocked the world with a win over Florida Mayhem, guys. Oh, what were the times? So this was when everybody thought Florida Mayhem was actually going to be a good team. They were previously known as Misfits, a very solid European team, had great performances in contenders prior to the Overwatch League. They had synergy, Logix was great, Tavik was great. There was no reason for them to be really as bad as they actually were, other than the fact that they didn't have a coach, really. They didn't have more than 6 people on their roster. There was a lot of problems with them, and I kind of saw some of them. That's why you'll see them later on this list, but a lot of people did rate them way too high.
Only make playoffs, but they can also go for a deep run. Standout performances by Babybay and Sleepy in this match allowed them to take an easy 3-0 lead, only dropping the last map Eichenwald to Florida. After this first set, though, the San Francisco Shock would end up having to play another one against the Los Angeles Valiant. This was a tall task for San Francisco to take on, but they would end up with a 2-1 lead in maps. As I mentioned above, though, the series was extremely close, and if it wasn't for LA Valiant wearing out the San Francisco Shock, they could have easily taken this set 3-0 or 3-1. Instead, though, the LA Valiant were able to wear them down and take the last 2 maps, ending the series in a clinic on Lijiang. San Francisco played 9 maps in a row on the opening day, something that they will never have to do again. In their last match, they played against London's Kongdu roster 4 maps in a row. Falling 4-0 seemed like a major drop-off in skill for San Francisco, but I think it mostly had to do with Kongdu's stellar performance, and this shouldn't be looked at too hard. Although San Francisco lost 2 series and only won 1, I think they looked extremely strong, and long-term, they can improve a lot, especially with the additions of Super and Sinatra halfway into the season. Number 8, we have the LA Gladiators.
Okay, so San Francisco Shock, I'd say this was a pretty decent rating, going based off of their preseason performance, which is mainly, I wouldn't say mainly, but the preseason definitely did have a big impact on a lot of these rankings. And San Francisco Shock, they had a pretty good performance, They did lose to the LA Valiant, who I put at number 6. That's why San Francisco Shock's number 7. And I'd say rank 7 is probably where the San Francisco Shock would be sitting at right now. Maybe even rank 6. So, pretty accurate pick there.
Gladiators. The Los Angeles Gladiators had a very interesting performance this preseason. Going in, they were also considered to be one of the worst teams by many people, including me. Going up against London, you had to be...
Well, damn, we were wrong, boys! We were wrong!
Crazy to think the Gladiators had an advantage. Sure, maybe you could say it would be close, but no one really thought LA would win. In a crazy 5-game series, the LA Gladiators were able to take 3 maps off GC Busan and looked very good throughout the series, besides 1 game on Lunar Colony against Kongdu. Although this was a great series, I couldn't help myself to feel disappointed in the GC Busan side of London Spitfire. Still though, I have to give all props to the Los Angeles Gladiators for taking this series. They performed well. In their next match, it would be a grudge match against the Los Angeles Valiant. Many were expecting another world-class performance for them, but it was the exact opposite. Starting off the series being first held twice in a row, the LA Gladiators found themselves in a hole against Valiant. Needing to fire back, the Gladiators would. They ended up taking Ilios with superior fair mercy play, showing signs of hope the Gladiators might have a chance to crawl back into the series. But before they could, the Valiant put up another strong defense on Eichenwald, taking the series 3-1. All in all, the Gladiators are a tough team to gauge from this preseason, due to GC Busan looking very lackluster and Valiant potentially being a really strong team. Despite this ranking, the LA Gladiators have a ton of room to improve and can easily move up with more information. At rank 9, we have...
Okay. The very ending of that statement was pretty good, you know. There wasn't a lot of information on them. They had a good performance against London, but then they had a bad performance against the LA Valiant. So, like, you know, where do they stand at this point? I think LA Gladiators did have a lot of room to improve, and, you know, the acquiring of Fisher from London Spitfire was probably the biggest thing that made them a standout team in the league. To be honest, I don't think they would be this far if it wasn't for Fisher, if they would have stayed with iRemix, who, you know, I love the guy to death, but he did have a pretty bad Stage 1 performance. I don't know, man. They might not have even made the playoffs. So... yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Rank 8, obviously they're way better than rank 8 now, but the Fisher deal, we couldn't have seen that coming, and definitely a big reason why they're so damn good right now, and have a chance at possibly even going all the way to the final. You never know.
The Boston Uprising. The Boston Uprising going into the preseason had basically been labeled a joke. It was nearly impossible to find someone who legitimately thought they had a good chance to make some noise. Personally, I knew they had some really good players, but a lot of people just haven't heard of them. I took this opportunity to show the people that they are not to be taken lightly. I
still do that. I still mess up when I'm editing. I'm not going to lie. When you're editing like an hour long of footage and talking, like, and that adds up. That hour of footage isn't just an hour of editing. It's like 2-3 hours of editing. So sometimes things do slip in, guys. I don't do this quite that often anymore, but it does happen. I mean, it did happen in my intro like 3 videos ago, so, you know, it happens. Anyways, let's go ahead and play it.
They had an extremely close match against New York Excelsior. Both teams looked evenly matched all the way up to the last map. With slight adjustments on Dorado and Anubis, Boston could have easily been up 3-0 in this series. But due to New York Excelsior's previous experience, team cohesion, Pine's incredible display of flexibility and raw aim, they were able to come out on top. Boston definitely opened a lot of people's eyes.
Damn, you guys see that, dude?
Aim.
Talk about the pocket, man. They were pocketing the Zenyatta before it was freaking Jonak.
But
Arc is all over Libero here, dude. Look at this. He ain't gonna let him die.
Pine's incredible display of flexibility and raw aim. They were able to come out on
this boy won't die.
Boston
Jeez.
definitely opened a lot of people's eyes though after that
Diva
series.
Bomb though, no.
It showed us all that they can potentially be a playoff contender. In their second set, they faced off against Shanghai Dragons. In a 3-2 series, which was extremely close, another back and forth set where both teams looked dominant at times. This just proves again that almost any team in L right now is capable of beating each other on multiple maps. Boston is still a really new team with no prior synergy together. If they stay focused and use the underdog mentality to their advantage, they can really climb the scene and improve. Coming in at number 10, we have the
Interesting. I would have put them higher. I mean, I made a full video saying that Boston Uprising can win the Overwatch League. I had faith in those guys. I knew they had a solid roster. A lot of the pieces came from previous teams that weren't really well known or really that good. But those individual players on those teams were actually very good. And they were considered, you know, I'd say lower tier stars, not like superstars, you know, low end stars on their teams that weren't very popular or even that good. So they could come together with good coaching staff. They would definitely be good. That was my point with the Boston Uprising at the beginning of the season.
Shanghai
and obviously
Dragons.
I was right.
Not many people expected much from Shanghai.
I put them at 10?
This preseason. This was due to...
Wait! Who's under that? I know I didn't do Florida Mayhem yet, but... Philly? Did I put Philly at number 11? Or 12?
Not knowing much about them or the Chinese scene. If anything...
No!
The only thing a lot of people knew about them was that there was a lot of drama about how the Chinese team's roster was selected.
That's true.
Other than that, they were a complete wild card. Although they were 4-0'd by Seoul Dynasty on the first day, they had flashes that showed they can also be a contender in Overwatch League. One of their star players was Dia on Widowmaker. He hit some nasty
KINGmykL
life at times.
Yeah.
Potential opportunities to steal a map. Unfortunately for Shanghai though, Seoul proved to be too good to let small mistakes snowball into something bigger, and handled their business. In their second match versus Boston, Shanghai had much more of a chance to show what they are capable of. Battling tooth and nail to the end,
so this match was the bigger reason why I said, you know, they could possibly contend with other teams. They had a close match against Boston, and I rated Boston pretty decently.
On Li Jiang, losing the series 2-3. Going into the Overwatch League, I still believe they are a wild card. Basing their performance off the Boston set is really hard considering Boston also had close games versus New York Excelsior, and I have them at number 4. I think this just proves once again that any team can take maps off each other. The Dragons definitely have more room to prove, and we'll see what they can do once the season kicks off. Coming in at number 11, we have the Florida Mayhem. Coming into the preseason...
What the hell? I put Philly last?
Florida Mayhem was typically on the higher middle end of people's rankings. With high expectations come pressure.
Hey, I was right about this one. I might have put Philly last, but... Florida Mayhem was the second worst team in the league, and I put them at number 11. I got something right, boys. I got something right!
The story of Logic being an online god and not able to translate that play to LAN continued. With only 2 map wins this preseason, Mayhem looked like one of the weakest teams to me. They ended up only winning the last map versus San Francisco Shock and the first map against Dallas Fuel. I'm not just placing them last because of their performance at the preseason, but I also think they're going to suffer from having such a short roster long term. Having more players on the roster in the long run will only make the team better, because these players will not only help each other learn, but they will challenge each other to improve. Not having these opportunities, I don't see Mayhem improving at a similar rate to most of the teams. I also have the unpopular opinion that yes, Tavik is a good player, but he also isn't the flex god that all these people think. He really needs to zone in on his hero pool and figure out what he wants to grind and master. That being said, Mayhem can still improve a lot and become one of the better teams in Overwatch League. Last but not least,
Dude, I'm a genius, boys. Listen, I may have butchered almost every single other pick, but this was like telegraphed, dude. Like, how did I know? Tavik, spot on. The team not having a full roster, spot on. What'd they do? Go and get more players. The coaching, what'd they do? Go and get more coaches. So smart, Michael. Oh, I'm just such a genius. Oh, wait. I put Philadelphia Fusion at number 12. I'm an idiot. I'm so dumb. Oh, the only thing I was kind of wrong about was Logic's there. I guess for stage 1 I was still right. He underperformed to stage 1. But once we got to stage 2, Logic's finally shaked like the land jitters or whatever the hell it was. And he started performing like an animal. Logic's in stage 2. He was definitely at his peak there. And he was insane. So let's go to move on to number 12, the Philadelphia Fusion.
Philadelphia Fusion. I thought it would be unfair to mention them in this video since they didn't play in the preseason. So we're just going to keep them at the bottom and keep them as a wild card for now because we don't really know. Once again, guys, thank you.
I forgot about that. I forgot they didn't play in the preseason. Oh, thank God. Man, I thought I was so dumb for a second. Wow.
For watching my video. I put a lot of effort into these, and your support only makes me work harder.
I do put a lot of effort into these.
If you have any feedback, positive...
Well, not as much as in this one, because I'm just like kind of reacting. This is fairly an easy video. This is only going to take me, say, an hour-ish, 2 hours-ish to produce. I'm on that Realm Royale grind, you know what I'm saying? So I thought I'd do something a little quick and easy. But stream will be live. I didn't mention that at the beginning of this video, which I probably will edit and throw that in there. But I am going to be live on YouTube right now, guys. Come check me out. I'm playing Realm Royale. It's going to be lit.
Or negative, please leave it down below in the comments. And if you disagree with my rankings, feel free to post yours below. Just to remind you guys, I will be doing a giveaway soon, including that exclusive signed KINGmykL jersey by me and Baby Bay. Be sure to like the video and subscribe, and stay tuned for updates on that. Peace, guys.
Well, guys, there it is. That's me reacting to one of my very first videos, a power ranking video prior to the regular season starting, after the preseason. And I'd say it was pretty decent. I was spot on about a couple things here and there. And overall, I think most of the teams fell where they should have. Obviously, Boston Uprising, LA Gladiators a little bit higher, which I still did rate them kind of high. And that Fisher deal with LA Gladiators, again, kind of messing that up. And Seoul Dynasty, what can I say about that pick, dude? You know, that's not my fault. Other than that, though, it was pretty good. Thank you for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like on it, subscribe down below. Again, if you watched this whole entire video and you made it all the way to the end, let me know down below. Say, I'm watching the live stream. Say down below, I'm watching the live stream if you made it this far. And be sure to go watch the live stream as well, because we're live right now again on YouTube. That link will be down below. I'm out of here, guys. Peace.